History does not begin with the roar of a cannon. It often begins with a whisper in a back room, a signature on a document nobody read, or a single-point drop in the stock market that goes unnoticed until the entire economy lies in ruins. We look at the devastation of the adult soul, the addictions, the sabotaged relationships, the paralyzing anxiety that feels like a permanent Great Depression, and we assume a catastrophe of equal magnitude must have caused it. We look for the bomb crater. But the laws of chaos theory, much like the laws of historical economics, tell us a different story. It is the butterfly effect. Just as a butterfly flapping its wings in New Mexico can cause a hurricane in China, a single moment of rejection in the nursery, a fleeting withdrawal of affection when you were 4 years old, can trigger a catastrophic collapse of the self 30 years later. This is not merely psychology. This is the compounding interest of trauma. This is the mathematics of a spiritual market crash. We are about to embark on an archaeological dig into the ruins of your own personal Wall Street, tracing the ticker tape back to the moment the first bad investment was made. This is a journey into the dark heart of the American psyche, where the dream of perfection meets the reality of abandonment. It is a hazardous expedition, one that requires us to look at the ledgers we have kept hidden even from ourselves. If you are prepared to face the auditors of your unconscious and walk through the dust bowl of your own history, ***, commit your presence here by subscribing ***. Let this be the signature on the manifest. A vow that we will not turn back when the ghosts of the past begin to scream, that we will remain together until we find the root of the collapse. To understand the architecture of your suffering, we must look at the blueprint of the developing mind as if it were a nascent colony in the new world. When a child is born, they are a vast, open frontier, a land of infinite potential. Unmapped and rich with resources, the child does not know I. The child only knows the environment. The parents are not just caregivers. They are the imperial forces, the crown, the source of all supply, protection, and trade. The child's survival depends entirely on the trade routes remaining open. The currency of this economy is connection. When the connection is flowing, the colony thrives. But then the event occurs. It is rarely a grand tragedy. It is often a micro-fluctuation in the market. Perhaps you ran to your mother with a drawing, eyes shining with the raw gold of creativity, and she, exhausted by the crushing weight of her own unlived life, turned away. Perhaps she sighed. Perhaps she looked at you with a momentary flash of resentment, not at you, but at the demand you represented. Or perhaps your father, a man sculpted by the hard stoicism of the industrial age, told you to stop crying, to toughen up, imposing a tariff on your emotions. In that split second, a signal was sent down the telegraph wires of your nervous system. The market has crashed. The supply chain is broken. You are insolvent. To the adult logic, this is trivial. To the infant soul, this is Black Tuesday. 1929. It is the total collapse of the known world. The child does not think, "Mom is tired." The child thinks, "I am fundamentally flawed. My product is worthless. I am impending bankruptcy." This is the butterfly's wing. The wind shifts. What happens next is not a healing, but a restructuring. This is where the tragedy of the persona begins. In history, When a nation feels threatened, it militarizes. It builds walls. It adopts protectionist policies. The child, terrified of another crash, terrified of the annihilation that comes with abandonment, decides that the natural self, the spontaneous, messy, crying, joyful child is a liability. It is a toxic asset. It must be liquidated. So, you begin the great industrialization of the soul. You stop being a human being and start becoming a corporation. You look at what the imperial forces, your parents, your teachers, demand. They want quiet. You will mass-produce silence. They want grades. You will build a factory of intellect that runs 24 hours a day, smogging out the sky of your imagination. They want a good boy or a nice girl. You will manufacture a facade of agreeableness so polished, so impenetrable, that no one will ever see the terrified pauper trembling inside. You pave over the wild forests of your intuition to build the highways of efficiency. You dam the rivers of your grief to power the turbines of achievement. This is the birth of the persona. It is a glittering city of steel and glass, built on the premise that if you work hard enough, if you are perfect enough, if you are successful enough, the great crash will never happen again. You become the ultimate capitalist of affection, believing that love is a wage to be earned, not a birthright to be inherited. But there is a cost to this industrialization. There is always a cost. You cannot destroy energy. You can only displace it. Every emotion you suppressed, every tear you swallowed, every impulse you strangled to fit into the mold, they did not vanish. They were merely forced underground. They became the shadow. Think of the shadow not as a monster, but as the proletariat, the underclass, the workers in the coal mines of your subconscious who have been locked out of the sunlight. They are the undesirables, the anger you weren't allowed to show. The neediness you were told was weak. The sexuality you were taught was shameful. You pushed them into the slums of your psyche, built a high wall around them, and pretended they didn't exist. You sanitized the streets of your personality, presenting a clean, smiling, productive face to the world, the face of the self-made man, the perfect mother, the reliable employee. But down in the basement, the pressure is building. The steam pipes are groaning. Years pass. The butterfly has long since finished flapping its wings, but the hurricane is gathering offshore. You are an adult now. You have a career. You have relationships. On the surface, the economy of your life seems stable. The GDP is growing, but the foundation is rotten, because your entire personality is a defense mechanism against a threat that happened 20 years ago. You are fighting a war that ended in 1995. This is where the complex manifests. You meet someone, they are kind, they are loving, they offer you the intimacy you crave. But your internal security system, the Department of Homeland Security of your soul, does not see a lover. It sees a potential market crash. It remembers the wound. It remembers the look on your mother's face. It remembers the silence of your father. And so, the butterfly effect reaches its crescendo. The shadow begins to leak out. You find yourself acting in ways that baffle you. You are possessive, terrified that they will leave, suffocating them with the same neediness you tried to kill in the nursery. Or perhaps you go the other way. You become the Cold War power. You detach. You strike first. You sabotage the relationship before they can hurt you, firing the workers before they can go on strike. You retreat behind the iron curtain of your heart, leaving the other person confused and hurt, knocking on a door that has been welded shut from the inside. This is the self-fulfilling prophecy of the traumatized empire. In your desperate attempt to avoid abandonment, you create the very conditions that make abandonment inevitable. You turn your home into a fortress, but fortresses are lonely places. If you feel the cold draft of this fortress now, if you recognize the blueprints of this defensive architecture in your own behavior, know that you are not alone in this isolation. We have all built these walls. Asterisk, asterisk. If this analysis is piercing the armor you've worn for decades, or if you see the ghost of a loved one wandering these halls, leave a like as a signal fire. Asterisk, asterisk. Share this frequency with those who are also trapped in their own cold wars. Connection is the only contraband that can smuggle us out of this prison. The tragedy deepens when we look at the economy of your energy. Maintaining a persona is expensive. It requires massive amounts of psychological fuel to keep the mask in place, to keep the shadow repressed, to keep the factories of being good running. It is an energy crisis waiting to happen. You feel tired all the time, a fatigue that sleep cannot touch. This is not physical exhaustion. This is the exhaustion of a nation in a perpetual state of emergency. You are spending 90% of your resources on defense, leaving nothing for infrastructure, for art, for joy. And just like the Roaring Twenties, the bubble must eventually burst. The market cannot sustain this level of inflation forever. The shadow will not stay in the slums. The repressed parts of yourself will stage a revolution. This revolution often looks like symptoms, panic attacks, depression, sudden, inexplicable rage, an affair that destroys the family, a sudden collapse of ambition. We call these disorders, but they are not disorders. They are the inevitable correction of the market. They are the riots in the streets. They are the Luddites smashing the machines that have enslaved them. Your depression is not a malfunction. It is a general strike. Your soul is refusing to go to work in the factory of the persona any longer. It is sitting down on the tracks. It is saying, I will not produce any more smiles. I will not manufacture any more fake consent. I will not participate in this economy that exploits me. The anxiety you feel is the frantic ticker tape of a stock market that knows the crash is coming. It is the hypervigilance of a regime that knows its days are numbered. You try to medicate it, to distract it, to buy more things. To work harder, you try to print more money to solve the inflation, but the structural deficit is too deep. The wound of rejection has metastasized. The small cut has become gangrene. The company man you became to survive is now the tyrant that is killing you. We are standing now at the precipice of the crash. The year is 1,929 inches, your soul. The structures are shaking. The facade is cracking. This is terrifying. Yes. It feels like death. But I tell you this, the crash is necessary. The depression is necessary. The empire must fall so that the republic of the self can be born. We cannot patch up the old system. We cannot simply paint over the rust. We have to let it burn. We have to descend into the wreckage. We have to walk into the shanty towns of the shadow and interview the workers we abandoned. We have to find that child, the one standing in the nursery with the drawing in their hand. And we have to negotiate a new treaty. But before we can rebuild, we must witness the collapse in its entirety. We must understand the specific mechanics of how this shadow sabotages your future. We must look at the specific stock market bubbles you have blown up, the addiction to validation, the hoarding of control, the speculation on the futures of others. The persona, that shiny, smiling mask is about to be stripped away. The gold paint is flaking off, revealing the cheap lead underneath. You have spent your life trying to be the gold standard, but you have been off the standard for years. Consider the perfectionist. This is not a personality trait. It is a wartime economy. The perfectionist is the child who believes that one error, one defective product, will lead to the closing of the factory. You scrutinize every email, every conversation, every reflection in the mirror with the paranoia of a Soviet censor. You believe that if you are perfect, you are safe. But perfection is a vacuum. It is sterile. Nothing grows in it. By trying to be flawless, you have made yourself lifeless. You have become a statue in a park that no one visits. Consider the caretaker, the one who saves everyone but themselves. This is the Marshall Plan of the ego sending aid to foreign nations while your own cities are crumbling. You believe that if you are useful, you will not be discarded. You have commodified your kindness. You give to get. And when the recipients of your aid do not pay you back in the currency of absolute loyalty, you feel bankrupted. You feel the bitterness of a creditor who has been defaulted on. But you never signed a contract. You were buying insurance against abandonment, and the premium was your soul. These are the masks. These are the industries of the false self. And they are failing. The butterfly wings that flapped decades ago have summoned the storm. The sky is turning green. The sirens are sounding. Do not run from this storm. Do not try to board up the windows. The glass is going to break anyway. As we move deeper into this night, we will examine the debris. We will look at the specific ways your relationships have been the casualties of this internal civil war. We will look at how you project your shadow onto your partners, turning them into the enemy so you can justify your defenses. We will see how you reenact the original trauma, over and over again, like a historical reenactment society that has forgotten the war is over. The descent is just beginning. The elevators in this building are cut. We must take the stairs, down into the basement, down into the boiler room where the pressure gauges are redlining. Stay close. The darkness here is thick, and the air is heavy with the dust of old memories. But it is only in the dark that we can find the gold. The alchemists knew this. Asterisk. In sterquilinius invenitur asterisk. In filth. It will be found. Your treasure is not in your trophies. It is in your trauma. If you are still with me, if you are still holding the line against the urge to look away, then you are ready for the next phase. The illusion of stability is gone. The reality of the chaos is here. Now, we must survive the night. Subscribe, to ensure you do not miss the guidance through the collapse. For the path out lies directly through the center of the suffering. And if you know a soul who is currently watching their own internal stock market crash, share this with them. Let them know that the crash is not the end. It is the beginning of the real history. Let the walls fall. Let the silence come. We are listening for the voice that has been drowned out by the noise of the machines. We are listening for the child. But the child does not speak in words. The child speaks in symptoms, in nightmares, and most devastatingly, in the geopolitical theatre of your relationships. This is where the internal civil war spills over the border and becomes an international conflict. We must understand that you do not enter a relationship alone. You bring the entire cabinet of your internal government with you, the tyrannical ego, the repressed shadow, the terrified child, and the propaganda ministry that has been rewriting your history for decades. When you fall in love, for a brief, intoxicating moment, the trade barriers come down. It is the era of free trade. You feel understood, seen, validated. It is a boom time. But soon, the old fears, the butterfly effect of that ancient rejection, begin to lobby the parliament of your mind. The propaganda ministry whispers, this is too good to be true. The market is volatile. Remember the crash of '92. Remember when father left. Prepare for the downturn And so, you begin to engage in what military historians call a false flag operation. This is one of the most insidious maneuvers of the shadow. Because you cannot bear the tension of waiting for the abandonment you are certain is coming. You unconsciously engineer it. You provoke the crisis. You pick a fight over dirty dishes. But the subtext is the Treaty of Versailles. You withdraw your affection to see if they will chase you, testing the strength of their alliance. You become critical, demanding, or distant. You project your own repressed weakness onto them, despising them for the very vulnerability you have outlawed in yourself. You are not seeing your partner anymore. You are seeing a screen upon which you are projecting the film of your past. They become the actor hired to play the role of the parent who rejected you. If they are late, they are not just late. They are the absent father. If they are tired, they are not just tired. They are the critical mother. You are reacting to a ghost, firing live ammunition at a hologram. Eventually, the partner, exhausted by these tariffs on their soul, worn down by the constant border skirmishes, withdraws. They leave, or they shut down. And in that moment, your worst fear is realized. The prophecy is fulfilled. The market crashes. You stand amidst the wreckage of another failed union and say, "See, I knew it." Everyone leaves. I am unlovable, but you are not unlovable. You are a historian who has rigged the data. You created the outcome to validate your hypothesis. You needed the crash to prove that your anxiety was justified. This is the dark comfort of the neurosis. It is better to be right in hell than wrong in heaven. Now, we enter the deepest phase of the collapse. The Dust Bowl years. The relationship is gone, or it has become a cold, barren landscape. The distractions of the honeymoon period have evaporated like rain in a drought. You are left with the silence. This is the moment most people try to flee. They download a dating app to find a new investor to bail them out. They pour themselves into work. They drink. They scramble to reinflate the bubble. Do not do this. I implore you, if you are standing in the dust of your own life, do not try to plant new seeds yet. The soil is exhausted. We must stay here in the winter. We must let the ground lie fallow. This is the Negredo times of the alchemists, the blackening. It is the rotting of the seed in the ground. It feels like depression. Yes. It feels like the end of the world. But it is only the end of the times empire of the ego asterisk. In this darkness, the structures of the persona begin to decompose. The nice guy mask rots away to reveal the rage underneath. The strong, independent woman armor rusts to reveal the desperate loneliness. The successful executive suit disintegrates to show the shivering child. This decomposition is disgusting. It smells of old fear and stagnant tears. It is humiliating. But this humiliation is the gateway to the sacred. The word humility comes from time's humus asterisk earth, soil. To be humiliated is to be brought back to the earth, to the ground of your being. You have been flying too high. Icarus, on wings of wax and industrial ambition. Now you have fallen into the sea. Stop thrashing. Let the weight of your armor drag you down to the bottom. Down here, in the crushing depths, the pressure is immense. But this is where the truth lives. The truth is that the you built was a fraud. It was a colony established on stolen land. You spent your life trying to please a colony of ghosts' parents who are dead or unchanged, teachers who forgot your name, a society that views you as a statistic. You betrayed your own soul to secure their trade agreements. And what did it get you? A heart attack at 45. A divorce. A sense of hollowness that no amount of luxury goods can fill. The collapse strips you of these illusions. It forces you to file for moral bankruptcy. You have to admit, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot be the person you want me to be. I am empty. This admission is the turning point. It is the moment the addict admits they are powerless. It is the moment the general signs the surrender. It is not a defeat. It is the end of a war that should never have been fought. Notice the silence in the room now. The factories have stopped. The smoke is clearing. The ticker tape is still. There is a terrifying emptiness. We call this the void. The Western mind hates the void. It rushes to fill it with noise. But the Eastern mind, the ancient mind, knows that the void is the womb of creation. Asterisk ex nihilo nihil fit. Asterisk out of nothing. Nothing comes. No. Out of nothing. Asterisk everything times comes. But waiting in the void requires a courage that few possess. It requires the ability to sit with the monsters without fighting them. To invite the shadow to the table. Imagine your anxiety not as a terrorist, but as a messenger from the front lines who has been screaming for years because you refuse to read the dispatches. Imagine your depression not as a villain, but as a wise old woman who pulled the emergency brake because the train was heading for a cliff. What if you stopped treating your symptoms as enemies? What if you treated them as displaced refugees from the war you started against yourself? This is the beginning of the negotiation. The peace talks, but the peace table is not in a palace. It is in the ruins. You must sit there, amidst the rubble of your ego, and listen. You will hear a voice. It will be quiet at first. It might sound like a whimpering. It is the child, the one who was rejected, the one you locked in the basement so you could host the dinner party of your adult life. This child is furious. This child is terrified. This child does not trust you. Why should they? You have been the jailer. You have been the collaborator with the occupation forces. You have prioritized the opinions of strangers over the needs of this inner being. Rebuilding trust with this part of yourself is the hardest work you will ever do. It is harder than building a fortune. It is harder than climbing Everest. It is the work of reparations. You must pay back the debt you owe to your soul. And the currency is not success. The currency is attention. If you are feeling the weight of this debt, if you realize now how much you have stolen from yourself to pay the ransom of social acceptance, you are awakening. This realization is painful, like blood returning to a limb that has been asleep for years. It stings. If this sting is familiar to you, if you are ready to stop the war and begin the reparations, signal your commitment to this peace process by subscribing. We are moving from the history of war to the history of reconstruction. And you cannot do this without a map. And if you know someone who is still fighting on the front lines, unaware that the war is lost, share this dispatch with them. It might be the white flag they have been waiting for. Now, we turn our eyes to the process of decolonization. How do we actually dismantle the infrastructure of the persona? How do we remove the dams and let the river flow again? We must look at the concept of the golden shadow. We have spoken of the dark shadow, the rage, the greed. But there is also a golden shadow. These are the positive qualities you repressed because they were dangerous to your survival. Perhaps as a child, you were intensely creative, but your pragmatic family mocked your art. So, you exiled your creativity to the shadow. Now, you see artists and you feel a strange mix of admiration and envy. That envy is a map. It tells you where your gold is buried. Perhaps you were sensitive, deeply empathetic, but the world told you to be tough, so you exiled your heart. Now you see people who weep openly, and you feel a sneer of contempt. That contempt is a defense mechanism protecting the grief you are not allowed to feel. To reclaim these territories, you must be willing to be a beginner again. You must be willing to be foolish. The archetype of the fool is the precursor to the savior. In the tarot, the fool walks off a cliff with a flower in his hand. He does not care about safety. He cares about the journey. You have been the emperor for too long, sitting on a stone throne, ruling a dying kingdom. It is time to abdicate. It is time to become the fool. This means doing things that offer no return on investment to the ego. Painting a picture that no one will buy. Writing a poem that no one will read. Sitting in the grass and watching an ant for an hour. These acts are acts of rebellion against the industrial complex of the psyche. They are strikes against the efficiency regime. Every time you do something useless but meaningful, you are smuggling supplies back to the child. You are proving to the inner self that it matters more than the external market value. But be warned, the empire will strike back. Your ego will scream. Asterisk, this is a waste of time. You should be working. You are falling behind. Look at your peers. They are accumulating assets, asterisk. This voice is the voice of the old slave driver. It is the internalization of the Industrial Revolution's worst cruelty. You must learn to hear it, nod at it, and disobey it. This is civil disobedience of the soul. As you persist in this rebellion, a strange thing will happen. The depression will begin to lift, but not in the way you expect. It won't be replaced by happiness, that manic, sugar-coated commodity sold in commercials. It will be replaced by aliveness. Aliveness includes sadness. It includes grief. It includes joy. It includes fear. It is the full spectrum of the human experience, not just the sanitized positive vibes allowed by the senses. You will start to feel the texture of life again. The numbness will fade. And in this aliveness, your relationships will change. You will stop looking for a parent to save you. You will stop looking for a mirror to reflect you. You will begin to look for a partner. A partner is not a utility. They are another sovereign nation. When you are no longer starving for supply, you can appreciate them for who they are, not for what they provide. You can have foreign relations based on mutual respect, not colonial extraction. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. The dawn is not yet here. We are still in the pre-dawn hours, the time when the ghosts are most active, the time of the dark night of the soul in this phase. You may feel a loss of identity so profound it feels like madness. Who am I if I am not my job? Who am I if I am not a husband, wife? Who am I if I am not the good one? This is the question that must be answered not with words, but with existence. You are the space in which these things happen. You are the sky, not the weather. Let us look at the specific mechanism of the wound one last time before we begin the reconstruction. The wound is where the light enters, said Rumi. But in our industrial metaphor, the wound is where the monopoly was broken. It is the antitrust lawsuit against your own ego. The rejection you suffered, the butterfly effect, was a blessing in drag. Without it, you would have remained a perfect, unconscious automaton. You would have been a successful machine, functioning perfectly until the day you were scrapped. The wound broke the machine. It forced you to wake up. It forced you to ask questions. It forced you to become a philosopher in a world of factory workers. So, do not curse the rejection. Do not curse the ex-lover who left you. Do not curse the parent who couldn't love you. They were the agents of your destiny. They were the saboteurs who blew up the tracks so you couldn't keep riding the train to nowhere. They handed you the shovel. Now dig. Dig through the layers of shame. Dig through the sediment of guilt. Guilt is often just the ego's way of trying to control the uncontrollable. If you feel guilty, You secretly believe you had the power to change the outcome. If only I had been better. They would have stayed. This is arrogance disguised as penitence. You are not that powerful. You are not the center of the universe. Others have their own demons, their own scripts, their own destinies. Their departure was about their time's economy, not your product. Release the guilt. It is a counterfeit currency. It buys you nothing but more time in the debtor's prison. Instead of guilt, choose times. Responsibility, asterisk. Responsibility means the ability to respond, not to react, but to respond. To look at the wreckage and say, I did not cause the hurricane, but I am responsible for rebuilding the house. This distinction is vital. The victim asks, why is this happening to me? The survivor asks, what can I build from this? We are preparing the blueprints for the new architecture. It will not be a skyscraper. It will not be a fortress. It will be a garden. A garden has no roof. It is open to the rain and the sun. It has no walls, only boundaries. It changes with the seasons. It dies in the winter and is reborn in the spring. It is organic, not mechanical. But to plant a garden, you need compost. And what is compost? It is garbage. It is the rotting leftovers of the past. It is the failures, the heartbreaks, the mistakes. You don't throw them away. You churn them into the soil. You let the worms of the unconscious break them down until they become the nutrient-rich darkness that feeds the new life. Your shadow is the fertilizer. Your trauma is the seed. As we stand here, knee-deep in the compost of your history, do not hold your nose. Breathe it in. This is the smell of reality. It is pungent, earthy, and real. It is better than the sterile smell of the hospital corridor where you have been living. We are approaching the final leg of our journey, the transition from the industrial age of the ego to the ecological age of the self. This requires a complete change in management style. You are no longer the dictator. You are the gardener. But the soil is still hard. It needs rain. And the rain in the soul is grief. You must grieve, not just for what you lost, but for what you never had. Grieve for the childhood that was stolen by the need to be perfect. Grieve for the love you didn't receive. Grieve for the years you spent asleep. Cry. Let the floods come. In the Bible of the psyche, the flood is always followed by the rainbow. But you cannot have the rainbow without the storm. The tears are not a sign of weakness. They are the breaking of the drought. They are the liquidity returning to the market. Asterisk, asterisk, if you feel the clouds gathering, if the first drops of this necessary rain are falling on your face, do not wipe them away. And do not walk away from this gathering. Subscribe to stay with us as we learn how to plant the first seeds in this new, wet earth. Asterisk, asterisk. The storm is passing, but the work of the harvest is just beginning. Let it rain. Let it wash away the soot of the factories. Let it reveal the bedrock, because underneath the factory, underneath the pavement, the ancient earth has been waiting. It has been waiting for you to fail so that you could finally succeed at being human. The butterfly did not just cause a storm, it caused a revolution. And the revolution is you. The rain does not stop simply because you have acknowledged the drought. It stops only when the earth is saturated, when the reservoirs of the deep unconscious are refilled. And when the storm finally breaks, when the sun cuts through the leaden clouds of your depression, you do not look out upon a paradise. You look out upon a floodplain. There is mud everywhere. The old landmarks are gone. The statues of your heroes, the parents you idealized, the self-image you worshipped, are toppled, face down in the silt. This is the 0 hour of the soul. In history, this is Germany in 1945, or the American South in 1865. The old regime is dead, but the new world has not yet been built. You are standing in the mud, holding a single brick. This is the most dangerous time. The temptation to rebuild the old factories is overwhelming. The neural pathways in your brain are like old trade routes. They want to carry the same cargo they always carried. You want to rush back into a relationship to feel safe. You want to rush back into overworking to feel valuable. You want to pave over the mud. But you must not. You must learn to walk in the mud. You must learn to live as an asterisk, orphan, asterisk. The orphan is not a victim. In the great archetypal stories, the hero must times be an orphan. Harry Potter, Luke Skywalker, Frodo Baggins, they all must lose the protection of the parent to find their own power. As long as you are spiritually tethered to the hope that a mother or father or a partner, acting as their proxy, will save you, you are a minor. You have no voting rights in the democracy of fate. Accepting your orphanhood is the act of claiming your sovereignty. It means admitting no one is coming to save me. No one is coming to fix the economy. I am the chairman of the Federal Reserve. I am the president. I am the labor force. This realization is terrifying. Yes, it brings a chill to the bone. But it is the chill of freedom. In this Reconstruction era, we must institute a new economic policy. We are moving from a scarcity mindset, capitalism of the ego, to an abundance mindset, ecology of the soul. In the old economy of the butterfly effect, you believed love was scarce. One rejection meant total poverty. So you hoarded it. You grasped at it. You manipulated for it. In the new economy, you realize that you are the generator of the currency. You do not need to import love. You manufacture it. You generate it through acts of creation, through connection with nature, through the simple act of breathing. When you are full of your own presence, you do not need to rob others. This changes everything in your relationships. You stop being a consumer of the other person. You become a contributor. Imagine a relationship where two people are not trying to complete each other, but to witness each other. You are not two half circles trying to make a whole. You are two whole circles rolling side by side. If they roll away, you are still a circle. You do not collapse. This is the only immunity against the fear of abandonment. You cannot abandon someone who is already at home in themselves. But how do we achieve this wholeness? How do we integrate the rebels? We must return to the shadow. We left the shadow in the basement, acknowledging its existence, but now we must give it a job. We must re-employ the population we marginalized. Take your aggression, for example. In the old regime, you were told aggression was bad, so you suppressed it, and it became passive-aggressive sabotage. In the Reconstruction, we rehabilitate aggression. We give it a badge. We call it assertiveness. We call it drive. We use it to set boundaries. When someone tries to invade your new garden, you do not smile and let them trample the flowers. You unleash the guard dog. The dog is not evil. The dog is loyal. It protects the sacred space. Take your laziness. You hated this part of yourself. You called it a defect. But in the new understanding, laziness is actually the union representative demanding rest. It is the part of you that knows the machine is overheating. Instead of fighting it, you listen to it. The union is calling for a strike. We need a holiday. You negotiate. You rest without guilt. And because you rest without guilt, you return to work with power, not resentment. This is the art of internal diplomacy. You are no longer a tyrant ruling by decree. You are a mediator, presiding over a coalition government. This process is slow. It is unglamorous. There will be days when you slide back into the mud. There will be nights when the old ghosts scream so loud you cover your ears. This is not failure. This is the oscillation of the system finding a new equilibrium. You are building a structure that can withstand the chaos, not avoid it. You are building a ship that can sail in the storm, not a bunker to hide from it. And as you build, you will notice a change in your vibration, to use a term from physics. Your resonant frequency is shifting. You will stop attracting the same people, the fixer-uppers, the narcissists, the emotional vampires. They will sniff around your new boundaries, find no open doors, and move on. They are looking for the old factory, the one with the help wanted, exploitable workers sign in the window. That factory is closed. Instead, you will begin to attract fellow survivors, fellow gardeners, people who have their own mud on their boots. This is the fellowship of the reconstructed. It is a quiet club. We recognize each other by the stillness in the eyes, by the lack of frantic need to impress. We have seen the crash. We have survived the depression. We are the ones who know that the only thing that matters is what is real. If you are beginning to recognize yourself as a builder in this new era, if you are tired of the old hustle and ready for the real work, join this guild of architects by subscribing. We are drafting the blueprints for a life that does not need to be escaped from. And if you have a friend who is currently trying to build a mansion on quicksand, share, this wisdom with them. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is hand someone a demolition permit. But let us not be naive. The decolonization of the mind is a lifelong project. The empire of the ego is cunning. It will try to co-opt your spiritual growth. It will try to turn your healing into a new form of achievement. Look at me, it will say, I am the most healed person in the room. I am winning at therapy. Beware of this spiritual materialism. It is just the old factory producing a new product line called enlightenment. True healing is not a badge of honor. It is a quiet, ordinary functioning. It is being able to wash the dishes without thinking about the past or the future. It is being able to listen to a friend without planning your response. It is the ability to be times bored, times without being times anxious, asterisk. In the high-speed economy of trauma, boredom is terrifying. Boredom feels like death. But in the ecological economy of the soul, boredom is just fallow time. It is winter. It is the silence before the song. We must also address the scarcity of time. The traumatized child feels a constant urgency. I must fix this times now, asterisk. I must find love times now, asterisk. This is the panic of the short-term investor. The soul operates on geological time. The soul does not wear a watch. Think of the Grand Canyon. It was not carved by a dynamite explosion. It was carved by the persistent, gentle flow of the river over millions of years. Your healing is the river. Do not try to be the dynamite. Be the river. Flow over the hard rocks of your resistance. Day after day. Softly. Relentlessly. Eventually, the rock will yield. This patience is the ultimate rebellion against the modern world. In a world of instant gratification, patience is a revolutionary act. As we near the end of this epic survey, we must look at the legacy. What is the result of the butterfly effect when the storm has finally passed? The result is asterisk, asterisk, wisdom, asterisk, asterisk. Wisdom is not something you read in a book. Wisdom is metabolized experience. It is the scar tissue that has become stronger than the original skin. The person who has never been broken is fragile. They are like fine china, beautiful, but useless in a crisis. The person who has been broken and repaired is like iron. They have been through the forge. Your fear of abandonment, your shadow, your pain, these were the fires of the forge. They burned away everything that wasn't times you asterisk. So, when you look back at that child, the one who was rejected, the one who started this whole chain reaction, do not pity them. Thank them. They held the pain so you could survive long enough to transform it. They were the martyr for your evolution. Now, you can go back to them in your mind's eye. Walk into that nursery. The drawing is still on the floor. The parents are gone. It is just you and the child. Pick up the drawing. Look at it. Tell the child, I see it. It is beautiful. And I am here now. I am the parent you were waiting for. I am the wall. I am the supply. And I am never, ever leaving. This is the closing of the circle. The timeline is healed. The butterfly lands. The storm settles. You are no longer a colony of the past. You are a sovereign nation of the present. The borders are open, but the guards are awake. The economy is thriving, but the currency is love, not fear. The history books are closed. The future is a blank page. And for the first time in your life, you are holding the pen. Write well.